Why would you want to remove the tripod before stitching the images from your one-shot camera? Let me demonstrate why I think it's a good idea. The same AI engine is now built into Lightroom that's built into Photoshop. And in many ways, I think it's easier. For one thing, I don't have to extract the nadir or zenith. It's also non-destructive, so I can go back in and make some subtle changes later. First, let's do some obvious stuff. There's a facial mark here I might want to remove. So we'll click on the Remove tool, paint it over, hit Enter. I've sped things up a little bit in the video. You might want to do the flare. I'm going to leave it alone. I actually like the flare in this location. And then let's take a look at the tripod at her feet. My thinking is, even if this doesn't work, I've given myself a head start if I want to do this later in Photoshop. Note the little trick of starting to paint and then using the Shift key to draw a straight line. Same as in Photoshop. And it's good to break it up into several discrete little pieces. The AI gets less confused that way. It takes a little getting used to. It works a bit differently than Photoshop. In order to bake it in, you have to hit the Enter key, but you get into a rhythm of it pretty quickly. And this is starting to look pretty good. I want to make sure I can still see a little bit of Kelly's feet and her pants here. Even if this doesn't work, it's going to give me a head start for doing it later in Photoshop. So let's just slide over to the other lens image. You can see the tripod a little more clearly here. Same trick, break it up into pieces. It may seem a little tedious, but compared to Photoshop, I think it's easier. I'm not having to track layers, flatten layers, any of that stuff. It's getting there. I'm almost done. I won't know, of course, how this is all going to look until after I stitch, but I think it's going to work out okay. You have the same ability that you do in Photoshop to go back and regenerate the results if you don't like everything. But mostly what I'm doing here is working out okay. And now for the tricky part, removing the shadow of the camera on the painting. Something practically impossible without a generative fill tool. Paint that out. And give it a try. It put a little extra bush in there. It rings true. I might want to run a few more iterations, but so far it's doing a pretty good job. So let's go for the stitch. I'm going to stitch to JPEG, sRGB. That's important. And let's take a look at the result. Okay, I think this is going to look pretty good. I might want to change the yaw to center the painter on the picture, but for now this will do. And yes, you can install FSP Viewer as an editor in Lightroom. Make sure that you edit original and don't make a copy. So everything is looking, I think, perfect at this point. Was I completely successful doing it all in Lightroom? No, sadly. I had to go into PT GUI and do some masking to repair a paint pot in her left hand. Thanks for watching. I'm Clay Moorhead, 360 Niagara.